Have you ever felt like you've seen it all? Like the world has no more surprises left? Well, let me tell you about Sarah, a wildlife biologist who thought the same thing until one rainy afternoon in the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest. Sarah wasn't looking for myths. She was studying bear migration patterns. But what she found would rewrite everything she thought she knew about the natural world. Huddled under a giant fern, shivering and alone, was something straight out of folklore. It looked like a baby gorilla, but its fur was a reddish-brown, and its eyes held an intelligence she'd never seen in any animal. This was no ordinary creature. It was, impossibly, a Bigfoot infant. Sarah, guided by her scientific training and a deep sense of compassion, knew she couldn't just leave it there. The little one was clearly distressed and separated from its family. Carefully, she approached, making soft, non-threatening sounds. To her utter astonishment, the creature didn't just respond with animalistic grunts, it responded with words. Not clear, perfect sentences, but a babble of sounds that mimicked human speech patterns. She decided to call him Ekko. Back at her remote research cabin, Sarah's life transformed. Her days of tracking bears were replaced by a routine that felt more like parenting a very, very hairy toddler. Ekko was a chatterbox, from sunrise to sunset. He babbled. He mimicked the birds outside, the crackle of the fireplace, the sound of the radio. He'd point at objects with his long fingers and try to form words. Wah-wah for water, apple for apple. It was incredible. Sarah documented everything, her scientific mind racing. This was the discovery of a lifetime, a sentient species living right under our noses. Ekko seemed to have an insatiable curiosity, touching everything, tasting everything, and all the while keeping up a constant stream of sounds. It was a chaotic, beautiful symphony of discovery. But amidst all this chatter, Sarah felt a growing question mark. Was this just mimicry, or was there true understanding behind those bright, curious eyes? The bond between them deepened each day. They played peekaboo behind the cabin furniture, and Ekko would shriek with laughter, a sound so human it sent shivers down Sarah's spine. He'd follow her around the cabin, his tiny, oversized feet slapping against the wooden floor, always babbling, always trying to communicate. Sarah taught him simple words, and he absorbed them like a sponge. Tree, rock, sky. He'd point and repeat them, his little brow furrowed in concentration. For Sarah, this was more than just a research subject. Ekko was becoming family. She felt a fierce need to protect him from a world that wouldn't understand, a world that would want to cage him, study him, and strip away his magic. But the constant chatter, while endearing, was also a puzzle. It was a one-way street. Ekko mimicked and requested things, but he never asked a question. He never showed curiosity about her asterisk. It was all about his world, his needs, his observations. Sarah started to wonder if his intelligence had a ceiling. Was he capable of abstract thought, of empathy, of seeing the world from another's perspective? She felt a pang of disappointment. Maybe he was just an incredibly advanced mimic, a biological marvel, but not a true conversational partner. The thought was a lonely one. She had this incredible secret, but she was still, in a way, talking to herself. One evening, as a storm raged outside, Sarah sat by the fire, feeling a bit melancholy. She was sketching in her journal a drawing of her own family back home, whom she missed dearly. Ekko was quiet for once, watching the flames dance in the hearth. He toddled over to her, his usual babble absent. He pointed a small, hairy finger at the drawing in her journal. Sarah looked at him, expecting him to try and say paper or draw, but he didn't. He looked from the drawing to her face, his gaze intense and focused. Then, in a voice clearer than she had ever heard from him, he asked a single, simple question. "You sad?" The words hung in the air, more powerful than the thunder rolling outside. It wasn't a mimic. It wasn't a request. It was an observation about her feelings. It was empathy. In that moment, everything changed. It was the first time Ekko had ever asked about her, the first time he'd looked beyond his own world and into hers. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. She could only nod, a lump forming in her throat. He wasn't just intelligent. He was emotionally aware. This tiny mythical creature understood her feelings. That one question opened a floodgate. It was as if a lock had been turned. Ekko's language skills exploded. His questions became more complex. Why sky blue? Where other youths wanted to know about her world, her family, her life before him. Their conversations were no longer a one-way street. They shared thoughts, ideas, and feelings. Sarah realized he hadn't just been babbling before. He'd been learning, observing, building a foundation until he had the tools to truly connect. He was processing the world in a way she couldn't have imagined. Sarah knew then that her mission was no longer just about protecting Ekko. It was about understanding his people. Where was his family? Were there more like him, hiding in the vast wilderness, watching us, learning from us? Her purpose shifted from mere protection to a quest for reunification. She began using her knowledge of the forest and animal tracking not to find bears, but to search for signs of adult Bigfoot, for a family that was surely missing their chattering, curious child. The story of Sarah and Ekko isn't just about the discovery of a new species. It's a story about communication, empathy, and the bridges we can build when we truly listen. It reminds us that intelligence comes in many forms, and the most profound connections are made when we dare to ask and care about the answer. What do you think Sarah should do next? Let us know in the comments below. And if you love stories that challenge what you think you know, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more incredible tales. Thanks for watching.